What's going on, guys? This is Mars Brigade 99 coming to you once again with another session of Dark Souls commentary. Alright, so we're back at it once again. And I don't know if you guys have been following, but in my first video, I basically just talked about what I've been doing for the past few weeks. You know, when I wasn't uploading, a lot of people were concerned. But dude, the game's only been out for 3 weeks, noobs. Right? I just need some time to enjoy the game. I know there's a lot of uploaders out there trying to get those thousands and thousands of views because they're one of the first ones out there uploading material, but I'm not like that, right? I don't really care about that. Once I enjoy the game, play it, come up with things to talk about, then I'll start to get the uploads out. So I didn't forget about you guys. I'm here. Okay, so last video we were talking about the butthurt in the community, from the long sword, the dark sword, and hey, speak of the devil, the Estoc. Now, I'm going to use a mace for the vast majority of this video. Now, this particular fight, I'm only going to use a halberd, but I want you guys to pay close attention to what's going to happen shortly. Just to demonstrate for you guys that pretty much everything has a counter. Everything. Which is why I don't think a lot of these items, watch this, ricochet. Did you guys just notice what happened? Not only did the rapier ricochet, but he took bonus damage because of the ricochet. Now if you guys need to go ahead and rewind that back, just go ahead and check it out for yourself, noobs. So in other words, when there are counters in the game, why would anyone cry for a nerf? Like I said in the last video, there should be no one-trick ponies like there was in Dark Souls 1. Dark Souls 1, the damn katana was the be-all, end-all. That's all you needed was a katana and you were good, right? Were there some counters? Yeah, but for the most part, anybody could be successful in most situations as long as they had the Chaos Blade. This game is different, at least in my personal experience. Now granted, game's only been out for a few weeks and I just started PvP myself, so I haven't really noticed any weapon or any class of weapons that far excels every other class, or 99% of the other weapons out there. At least I haven't encountered it. Here's another example. How many times have you seen tryhards using this? I see them all the time. All the time. It's kind of like all the Bloodborne players want to play like Bloodborne in Dark Souls 3 by using these. Right? But it has a counter. And guess what? I'm using a mace, noobs. And if you guys notice, I'm not even embered up. Because one thing about me, even though I like to win, when I'm learning, when I'm practicing something, I really don't care about having max damage. Because actually my mace is only +9. I just use it just for the sake of the video. It's a +9 refined mace. It's not even +10. And then on top of that, my health is I only have like 1239 health because I have 40 in health. And I'm using the FAP ring, and I'm not even embered up. So you guys are going to notice in this video that I'm able to counter a lot of guys just with the mace. Why? Because I'm exploring more than the good old, be-all, end-all weapon. I'm not watching YouTube videos trying to figure out what the top tier weapon is. I'm not on Twitch trying to figure out what the streamer's opinion of the best weapon of the game. No, I just sit here and I experiment myself. Study the weapon arts. Experiment with certain shields. Trying to mix up different combinations so that I can be successful in a lot of different situations. So that my playstyle can be varied. Now, this is a thing that's been consistent with me. So, any of you guys who know me know that I've been pushing that since day one. Experiment. Use different things. Don't just stick with the one-trick pony because there's a lot of options out there. And one thing that I like about this game so far is that there seems to be, as a matter of fact, look, here's a high-speed guy right here using my own tactic against me. And he did it quite well because, as a matter of fact, I believe I lost this fight. But he did it quite well. There's no one-trick ponies in this game. Now, what I could have done is switch to the halberd. You guys notice what he did? Stop me in my tracks. Now, does he take damage? Of course he takes damage. But he still gets a 2-shot hit with me because he used pressure. You see? That's some good PvP right there. No one-trick ponies. Okay, so enough ranting about that. So the original topic, of the first video was supposed to discuss poise. And I want to go ahead and finish that discussion in this particular video. In that video, I expressed my opinion that the issue is not that those weapons are OP. The issue is that we don't have a good poise system, and that the properties of some of these lighter weighted weapons, for whatever reason, are identical to the properties of some of the heavier weapons. For example, there is absolutely no reason, in my opinion, why a rapier that's less than 3 units has the same 2-shot hit guarantee as the Fume Greatsword. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense that a longsword that's maybe 4 units is a guaranteed 2-hit combo as fast as it swings to the same degree as a great hammer. That doesn't make any sense. But this is why people gravitate to these weapons, because they swing fast and it's pretty much a guaranteed 2-hit combo. An adequate poise system will put an end to all of this garbage. Now, what kind of poise system? And actually, I'm kind of on the fence about poise. But before I kind of give my opinion about poise, let me just give a description of how I personally would incorporate a poise system. First off, it would be similar to Dark Souls 1, but not identical to Dark Souls 1. In that the max poise, let's just say for the sake of argument, would be 40 or 42, just like in Dark Souls 1. Because in most of my later videos, I didn't use anything above 53. As a matter of fact, 90% of my videos I was 52 and below. Now, what did that allow for me to do? Poise through a one-hand greatsword hit, one katana hit, a 2-hand longsword hit, and everything below that. Great swords, I got staggered once. Ultra great swords, hammers, great hammers, anything like that, some of the big maces, I got staggered twice, unless I was able to toggle or something like that. I can definitely agree with the system like that, because I think it's retarded that a player should be able to poise through a great sword. Because if you have a system that's identical to Dark Souls 1, then the community will just turn into, Dark Souls 1 Volume 2, right? And Dark Souls 3, meaning they will just poise through every attack and find out a way to BS. We do not want that crap to return to this community, or at least I don't, because that crap got old. I mean, did I enjoy it back then within the context of 2011, 12, and 13? Yeah, within the context of those years. This is 2016. I can't be bothered with that same type of play style in a brand new game. So if it were up to me, I would have the same poise breaks. Actually, the maximum poise would be like 42. And it would allow for a one-hand greatsword hit. You could poise through that, and that's the most you would be able to poise through. The blunt weapons, the hammers, the axes. Okay, like for example, with let's just say the mace. The mace is a small weapon, but it is a blunt weapon. It's a blunt strength weapon. So I would actually give it the same properties as I would the claymore. If you get two-handed by a mace, you could get staggered. Okay, one-handed by a mace, I don't know if I would consider that a stagger, because it is a smaller weapon, even though it's a blunt weapon. Some of the hammers, depending upon what kind they are, that would be a staggered just like a greatsword, even though they're not as heavy as greatswords. But everything else below that, like maybe even a one-hand halberd, you'll be able to poise through that. But a two-hand halberd, you would get staggered with the potential to get two-shotted. Katanas, I mean, if you just read the description of katanas, you know, they're light, they're thin, they're delicate, which is why they break easy. So, you know, you should be able to poise through something like that. A rapier, 1.5 units. I think the heaviest is like 3 units. You should be able to poise through a hit from a rapier, right? So rapiers, long swords, one-handed, you know, a lot of the, like some of the curved swords, the smaller ones, you should be able to poise through a two-hand, you know, one two-hand hit from like a falcon or something like that, just like in Dark Souls 1. But if you get hit that second time, you're staggered, you're done. Because if you don't escape after the first hit, then that's on you. Think about Dark Souls 1 when it was first released, and they had the infinite stun lock with the Moonlight Greatsword and Claymore. And think about what happened after the Prepare to Die edition patch. They nerfed the Greatswords. Not only did they nerf the swing speed, but they also nerfed the infinite stun lock. Now, initially, I didn't like it, but as time went on, it was fair. Because, yeah, you got staggered if you got less than 53 poise by a two-hand greatsword. However, if, let's just say you got hit once, and then instead of retreating, you tried to counter hit, well, you could get stun locked twice. That's fair. But at the end of it, one hit, as long as you took the hit and retreated, you could get away from it. That way you put more responsibility on the player to react. You know, with a system like this, if they get stun locked, no one can bitch about it. You know, if they got, hit several times, no one could complain about it. I mean, it's kind of like when I use the red hilted halberd in this game. Dude, there's some times when I hit people 4 times in a row. That's their fault. Now, I've had some people send me butthurt messages saying that I'm an R1 spammer and all that other stuff, but guess what? Most hits, if not all hits, you can roll out of after 2 times. So if I'm able to stun lock you 4 or 5 times, that's your fault. That's not my fault for being an R1 spammer. Do something different. There are no one-trick ponies in this game. So that would be the type of poise system that I would agree with. Being able to, you would get staggered by a greatsword. You could get staggered by, let's just say, a 2-hand mace because it's a blunt weapon. You can get staggered by some of these hammers. But after that one hit, you had the option to escape. If you didn't escape, it would be a guaranteed 2 hit. Or, if you got hit, but your stamina was drained, that would also be a guaranteed 2 hit. But as long as you have enough stamina, and as long as after the first hit, you at least attempted to escape, you should be able to escape. None of this guaranteed 2-hit combo garbage that we're seeing right now. I think that one change alone will bring a lot of difference to PvP and add some depth. Because some people just play the way they do because they know everything is a guaranteed 2-hit. They know that. Now, are there ways to get away from it? Actually, there is. I just don't like the fact that you have to suffer 2 hits before you can counter. Because I deal with it. These guys run up to me with a damn, a rapier and they try to R1 spam me. Guess what? That 3rd hit, you're getting parried, noob. You're getting parried. So, I think I did enough rambling. I think you guys get my point. There's nothing wrong with those weapons. The only suggestion that I would make is for them to change the properties of these weapons so that they would not be a guaranteed 2-hit combo. So one of 2 things. Either incorporate a poise system with poise breaks similar to Dark Souls 1 but not identical. You should not be able to poise through an ultra great sword. You should not be able to poise through a 2-hand great sword. Those should be guaranteed staggers. And as a matter of fact, I'm even willing to say that the Ultra Great Swords should be a 2-hit stagger, just like it was in Dark Souls 1. In Dark Souls 1, if you had less than 77 poise, that was a guaranteed 2-hit stagger. So I'm fine with that for Ultra Great Swords, or the Great Hammers, or something serious, or something similar. I'm fine with the 1-hit stagger from a Great Sword. But anything less than that, small curved swords, scimitars, rapiers, I think if they change the properties of those weapons to not make them guaranteed 2 hits, that would definitely change a lot of things, and a lot of people would be far less butthurt. So that's all I want to talk about in this particular video. Go ahead, leave your comments. I would love to hear what you have to say, hear your objections, because I'm pretty sure somebody's going to say, yo, Brigade, you don't know what you're talking about. You took a 3-week hiatus. Now you come in here with all these crazy, bizarre ideas. I already know I'm going to hear it, but I'm waiting to read it, because actually, whenever I read opposition, it helps me to further my own position, or to second guess it, because maybe I say things, and then later on, when someone bring a valid point, it's like, you know what, I didn't even think about that. That's actually a good point. But anyway, so that's my position on those 3 weapons. No nerfing, and I hope they don't, because I know there's going to be some weapon balancing updates sometime in the near future, and I hope they don't touch those weapons, just like they messed up the Fume Greatsword. But guess what? That'll be, the subject of another video. Okay, I'm out of here. I mean, that's good enough on the subject. So hey, until next time, Martyrs Brigade is out.